Hello, and a very warm welcome to the English Story Nook. We are so happy you have chosen to spend some time with us and our story today. Today, we're diving into a story about the challenges and excitement of modern dating in a big city. Get ready to discover what happens when a wonderful new connection suddenly goes quiet, leading to a mystery that mixes personal feelings with professional secrets. It is a story about how a simple misunderstanding can change everything. Before we dive in, if you enjoy our stories and want to support what we do, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and consider buying us a coffee on Ko-fi. There's a link in the description below. Every like, subscription, and small contribution helps us keep creating great content for English learners like you. Let's get started! Left on read in a city that never sleeps, Neri Narani Othman swiped left with the practiced indifference of a seasoned veteran. Another profile. Another man holding a large fish. Another bio consisting solely of a flag emoji and his height. The digital dating scene in this sprawling, sleepless city had long ceased to be a source of excitement, leaving her with a persistent, low-grade ennui. It was a game of diminishing returns, a carousel of recycled conversations that felt more prosaic with every rotation. She worked as a senior graphic designer for Muriel Corp Marketing, a behemoth of an agency where creativity was often suffocated by corporate guidelines. Her days were a blur of Pantone swatches and client feedback, so her evenings, spent scrolling through potential partners, felt like an extension of that soulless work. A perfunctory search for a product that might, just might, meet the specifications of her heart. Then she saw him. Ardit Diti Sesma. His profile was an anomaly. No fish, no gym selfies. Just a few candid shots. One of him laughing, head thrown back, on a rain-slicked street. Another of him sketching in a notebook, brow furrowed in concentration. A third showing him standing before a wildly ambitious piece of architecture. His bio was a single, self-deprecating line. Probably overthinking the structural integrity of this app. Neri felt an unfamiliar flutter. She swiped right. A match. Instantly. His first message wasn't, "Hey." It was a question about the typeface she used in a piece of art featured on her profile. The conversation that followed was a revelation. It was sharp, funny, and substantive. They debated the merits of brutalism, the ethics of persuasive design, and the best place to get ramen after midnight. His intellect was matched only by his wit. For the first time in years, Neri's ennui began to dissipate, replaced by a giddy anticipation for each notification. Their connection felt substantial, not ephemeral. He was an architect, he told her, passionate about sustainable urban development. The synergy was palpable. After a week of non-stop, exhilarating dialogue that made her screen time skyrocket, Ardit proposed they meet. "I know a rooftop garden overlooking the old industrial canal," he typed. "It's quiet. We could, talk without emojis." Neri's heart gave a distinct lurch. It was a perfect suggestion, thoughtful and specific. She agreed, a genuine, unforced smile spreading across her face. The date was set for Friday. The city suddenly felt less like a concrete jungle and more like a place of possibility. The day before the date, a subtle shift occurred. Ardit's messages, once novel-length, became clipped. The vibrant back and forth dwindled to perfunctory responses. Neri told herself he was just busy, a big project perhaps. Yet, a knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. She found herself rereading their chat history, a mawkish indulgence she typically scorned. The digital intimacy they had built felt surprisingly fragile. Was it all just a fleeting illusion? The fear that their vibrant connection might be ephemeral after all began to creep in. Friday arrived, cloaked in a gray, indecisive drizzle. Neri stood before her wardrobe, a battlefield of outfits. She felt a frisson of both excitement and dread. She called her friend, Huin Chu Vargas, who listened patiently before offering her usual unsentimental wisdom. If he bails, he's just another JPEG with commitment issues. His loss. An hour before she was supposed to leave, Neri's phone lit up. It was Ardit. The 3 little dots appeared. He was typing. She held her breath. The dots vanished. Silence. She stared at the screen, at the 2 blue check marks under her last message. Delivered. Read. Unanswered. The silence was deafening, a digital void where a future had just begun to bloom. The weekend was a miserable blur. Humiliation and anger warred with a profound sense of loss. How could something that felt so real dissolve so completely? She felt foolish for her mawkish pining over a man she'd never even met. Huinchu was blunt. Classic ghosting. He's a craven coward. Delete his number and let's go get tacos. But Neri couldn't shake the feeling that this was different. The abruptness, the sheer incongruity of it all. It didn't add up. A frisson of suspicion ran through her. This wasn't a simple case of cold feet. Monday morning, back under the fluorescent lights of Muriel Corp Marketing, Neri was handed a new top priority assignment. A massive rebranding campaign for an architecture firm called Lomiondoni Structures. They're looking to dominate the luxury eco-residence market, her director announced. They want something fresh, aggressive. Neri began the tedious task of competitive analysis. She waded through press releases, design portfolios, and industry news. And then she saw it. An article from a week ago about a prestigious design award. The winner was a small, innovative firm for their groundbreaking, sustainable community project. The lead architect, pictured smiling proudly with his team, was Ardit Diti Sesma. Her breath caught in her throat. The article went on to detail how Ardit's firm had, that very same week, been dragged into a sudden and vicious legal imbroglio by a much larger competitor trying to poach their design. That competitor was Lomiondone Structures. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. His silence wasn't about her. It was about this. A professional catastrophe. He must have seen her employer on her profile and, in the midst of a corporate war, made a panicked assumption. The potential conflict of interest was a chasm between them. This wasn't a dating mishap. It was a complex corporate imbroglio. She was now faced with the vicissitudes of modern life in their most absurd form. Her potential soulmate was her new client's sworn enemy. She could let it go, chalk it up to bad luck. Or she could do something incredibly risky. To contact him now could be misconstrued as a mendacious attempt at corporate espionage. It was a terrible idea, a brilliant idea. She spent the evening not on dating apps, but in her design software. She ignored the impulse to write a long explanatory text. Words were messy, compromised. Instead, she created a simple, elegant digital postcard. The image was a stylized illustration of a rooftop garden overlooking a canal, rendered in twilight hues. Below it, she typed a single cryptic phrase from their conversation, a shared joke about prosaic garden gnomes. It was an audacious gambit, a message that would either be understood or deleted as spam. She found his professional email address, attached the file, and hit send. Her heart hammered against her ribs. It was the most terrifying thing she'd done all year. 24 agonizingly long hours later, a reply landed in her inbox. The subject line, Structural Integrity. It was from Ardit. The email was long, earnest, and deeply apologetic. He explained the sudden legal storm, the panic, the sheer exhaustion. He confessed he'd seen her profile, panicked at the connection to the unfolding disaster, and, in a moment of overwhelming stress, made a craven decision to simply disappear. He thought it might be some kind of mendacious trap. "Your postcard," he wrote, "was a hell of a gambit. It cut through all the noise. It told me you understood more than you should have any reason to." He acknowledged the terrible timing and the professional awkwardness, the cruel vicissitudes of fate. "But," he continued, "our conversation felt like the least complicated, most real thing to happen to me in a long time. I was an idiot to let it go." He ended the email with a simple question. "The rooftop garden, this Friday? I promise to show up, and to prove I'm not a complete coward." Neri leaned back in her chair, a slow, genuine smile spreading across her face. The city outside her window still hummed with relentless energy, but for the first time in a long time, she felt perfectly in sync with its rhythm. She began to type her reply. "It's a date. No apologies necessary." That's the end of our story for today. It's a great reminder of how easily misunderstandings can happen in our modern world. What do you think Neri should do? We would love to hear your ideas in the comments. If you enjoyed the story, please show your support with a like, and don't forget to check the description for helpful learning materials to practice with. Thank you for joining us at the English Story Nook. Keep up the fantastic work with your English learning, and we cannot wait to see you in the next video. Happy learning and goodbye for now.